In this episode of The Tripod,
One more time, please, Ronan. One more time.
Yes, go again.
Bartholomew, He-Dog O'Reilly, Sanchez Horatio, Zilla Brown, Johnston Mooney and O'Brien Harding Downs.
Lovely, that's the hook sorted. Right.
Thanks for listening to The Tripod, everybody.
welcome to The Tripod.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 38 of The Tripod. My name is Kevin Hennessy, and as always, I'm joined by the two loveliest lads in the land who will introduce themselves in age order, starting from the youngest.
Yes. My name is Sean O'Riordan, and I am the youngest host of this podcast.
My name is not Sean O'Riordan and I am not the youngest host of this podcast. Good evening.
So what is your name?
Good evening. My name is Ronan.
High
Harding
definition.
Sanchez Horatio Downs.
It's been a while since you've had an odd name from your own.
Yeah.
I'm just, it kind
Horatio,
of it went
wasn't-
away and now it's back.
Wasn't Horatio
Good.
the guy on that
CSI Miami.
CSI Miami? That was it. He was the
Horatio
cool
is a
dude.
legend.
He used
He
to have
is
the
an
song.
icon.
He just pull off the sunglasses and just does all that blue steel
There's
there.
been a crime here. I'm going to get to the bottom of it. What a
My
hero.
brother,
What a hero.
My brother named his hamster after him, but also some other rather fairly famous names. And his hamster name was Bartholomew, He-Dog O'Reilly, Sanchez Horatio, Zilla Brown, Johnston Mooney and O'Brien Harding Downs. And I still
Can
remember
you say that
to
one more
this
time,
day.
please? A bit slowly.
Bartholomew, He-Dog O'Reilly, Sanchez Horatio, Zilla Brown, Johnston Mooney and O'Brien Harding Downs. That was his hamster's full name, and he said you had to address his hamster by his full title at all times.
I mean,
It's my brother.
What you call?
I'm not like.
Oh, imagine like
Amazing.
I've never had a hamster. Imagine like laying out food for him. You went to call him, like the food would be disintegrated by the time you had his name finished.
Pretty much,
Oh.
yeah.
Like, I'm
Or
a
the
cat
hamster
called
would
Peter,
die of
obviously,
starvation, probably. By the time it was. One more time, please, Ronan. One more time.
Yes, go again.
Bartholomew, He-Dog O'Reilly, Sanchez Horatio, Zilla Brown, Johnston Mooney and O'Brien Harding Downs.
Lovely, that's the hook sorted. Right.
Thanks for listening to The Tripod, everybody. We'll catch us again next week. You can't top that. We cannot top that.
Wow.
How was your week, gentlemen? How did you just get on?
Grand, yeah. Grand. Back teaching. Albeit not in the classroom, but it's good to be back teaching. Yeah, good. All good.
Lovely. Mr. Roro?
I literally haven't done anything of note. I've done nothing. I've been busy working away on something in the business. And
Lovely.
other than that, I've been doing nothing. I've literally it's
I
the
left the
least
house
I've
once.
ever done in my life.
I've literally left the house once in days, like probably 8 days.
Yeah.
Apart from
Yeah,
a
I
trip to
left,
the
I
shop.
left the house tonight to go to the shop, and that's the first time
Yeah.
I've left the house this year.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's extreme. So for people listening, we're recording this on the 16th, so that's a
Yeah.
lot of days.
Yeah, that is a lot of days.
That is a lot of days at home. Like I leave once a day to go to the shop, but like I just went down to the beach at lunchtime the other day because I realised that I wake up and sit at my kitchen table and work, and then finish work and eat my dinner at the same table, and then basically start again the next day. So I was like, I need to get out. I need to get some air into my lungs.
Yeah, man. 100% needs to
So
needs just
headed down to the beach, brought the drone, almost lost the drone again because it
Classic
weighs
Kev.
nothing. Well, it's so light, you know what I mean? Like the Mavic Mini is fantastic, but it is so light. So even like a subtle breeze can kind of be like, whoa, I'm going to take you away. And I was obviously flying it over the sea. So yeah, it wasn't, it was nervy. There was a couple of nervy moments, we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And
Someone
Yeah,
should
I
make
got
a
it.
movie about your life, Kev. It's honestly fascinating.
thanks, Ro. Yeah, but I got it up and got it down fairly quickly. And Don't do it, Sean. Don't do it.
Christ above. What?
I lost control of it for a while, but it all came together in the end, so it was fine. Anyway, lads, would you like to know what we're speaking about today?
I would love to. I'd be absolutely over the moon to swiftly move on.
Swiftly moving on.
Easy in stitches there. He's
We have
doubled over
lost
on
Sean.
himself.
We have lost Sean. So for the moment, it's just myself, Ronan, and you may hear some giggling in the background. On today's episode,
There it is. He's actually walked out of the room.
Sean is gone. Sean has left the room.
Oh, Christ above. So to all of our new followers and subscribers, thanks for tuning in. It was nice the time that you were here, the time you spent with us. We enjoyed it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if this is your first ever episode, welcome
back
to
to
the
the
Tripod,
start.
ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, go back to the start.
So,
sorry. How are
on
you?
today's episode, we're speaking influencer marketing, paid promotions, sponsorships, and ambassador roles. Obviously, in photography, a lot of these things pop up every now and then, rear their head, and we want to get down to the nitty gritty of these things because they all sound similar with different ways of speaking about them, but really they do vary. Lads, like you have both been part of paid promotions, yeah?
Yes.
I can confirm that accusation is accurate and factual.
Okay. Are you both ambassadors of one or another product or company?
No.
I am an ambassador for Ronan HD Photography. It is a wedding
Oh, me too.
and events photography business. I am their sole ambassador and possibly the reason that they're not performing very well.
Okay, on this podcast right now, can you give myself and Sean an ambassador role of Ronan HD Photography Wedding Events?
I will give Sean an ambassador role.
Wow.
Get ready for the bleep button,
hang
Sean.
on.
Fuck.
Hang on. Kevin is my sales and marketing guy. I've actually got a
okay.
couple of referrals from you, Kevin. So yeah,
Of course.
you thought I was gonna go in on you there.
I was just going to say, funny you should mention that. No, I mean, look, I only recommend the best to people who ask me about wedding photography. So, you know what I mean? So yeah, look, it's a very confusing thing. I mean, it pops up every now and then. Like, you know, you're on Instagram, you see, paid promotion sponsored by, let's go with Huawei, because we know, you two have obviously dealings with Huawei with that kind of stuff. Like, what is the crack with a paid promotion, and how does that differ from an ambassador role? Because Ronan, you're an ambassador, or you were an ambassador. Are you still an ambassador for Huawei?
Yeah, I was when it was their P20 series launch.
Yes.
They went a different direction for the P30 and what is it now? P40.
P40.
So I don't think they have dedicated ambassadors now. They go through an external company like Vamp or OMD or one of them to curate the talent, as it were. And then create a paid promotion as opposed to an ambassador role. Typically, ambassador roles are unpaid. So that'd be kind of the difference.
Yeah.
Nice.
So like what me and Ronan would have done with Huawei was they set out to do a campaign to try and promote their P40 products and their certain accessories. So they were promoting the earbuds and the watch. And basically how sponsored campaigns work is they set out a duration for the campaign, they set out the content, what they require from the creators, which is what our roles were, and they tell you what you'll be paid. You're paid per post or you're paid per story, and that's it. There's a duration for it, and when that finishes, that's it. It's not, you're not automatically ambassador, you're not automatically sponsored by the company after that. And whereas an ambassador role, generally ambassador roles occur when you've been using the product for quite a long period of time, and you've obviously come on their radar, so whatever company it is, and they invite you to be an ambassador, and basically you're representing the brand. You probably end up doing talks, could be doing trips, workshops with the brand, but you're not paid by the company to do your job. You know what I mean? You're still working, well, let's just say as a freelance photographer, you know, but you're an ambassador for the company. But you probably, as an ambassador, you would more than likely get like, you would get some free gear. Like you definitely get access to the best of gear, you know, as an ambassador. But yeah, it's people often get the two mixed up, and like different companies have different names.
Like, we had Connor McDonald on, Jesus, way back when. Remember that? Those were the days, lads.
Connor is a hero.
Connor is an actual hero. Like, there's no denying that. And Connor is a Nikon ambassador. So Connor, it's not like a paid promotions thing. He's an ambassador for Nikon. So he has every Nikon product under the sun. By the looks of things, I've seen his posts about. But he's been using Nikon for years. Yeah. So, you know, that's, and his work speaks for himself. So, and then like influencer marketing in general it's a very weird thing in photography, isn't it? Because like if you look at a prime example, right? Mark O'Brien the other day got an L bracket. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what an L bracket is. First of all, I don't know what it's really, really used for, because I wouldn't really be like that into landscape photography, right? Okay. But looking at that, and and he's tagging them, and I'm like, right, well, I was like, obviously he's tagging them to try get some kind of feedback or try get like some traction out of those guys. But at what point does that turn? You know, like, because at the moment he's basically giving them free publicity. So is he doing that to try and kind of entice them to convert with him about it? Or is that why we tag these people? And is that the goal here?
Yeah, I would very much say so. I can't speak for other people, but like, that's probably why Mark is tagging them. Just what kind of thing we do, like when you get a product, like you tag the company, and who knows, they might reshare. Do you know what I mean? If it gets a story reshare or something, like, then happy days. It's a bit of publicity for you, like, you know, and it's a good way of doing it. Like, I mean, I look back to 2 or 3 years ago when I first started shooting with Olympus, and I tagged them left, right, and centre. Do you know what I mean?
And that worked out.
I ended up becoming an Olympus mentor for them, like, you know. So yeah, it's if your goal, it's a funny one. Like, if I spoke about this in a mini pod about how I became so focused on becoming an Olympus mentor that when it actually happened, it's like you're chasing the materialistic thing. You know, it was fantastic to be able to work with a company, but it wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it would be. Like, do you know what I mean? So like, don't make that your sole goal or your sole orientation. But at the same time, it is nice to be recognised by companies. So yeah, why do you tag products on Instagram? Interesting. I would say most photographers tag their camera brands in the hope that camera brand will reshare their photo, I would say. Yeah,
or like best case, like ideal scenario is get in touch and be like, here's more stuff, try this or whatever.
Yeah. I would say that's why we. But that doesn't make you an influencer.
Motivation.
What's that, Ronan?
I'd say free gear is always a big motivation. Like
100%.
Absolutely. I tag Nikon on absolutely everything I post. Everything.
See, that's dreaming big. That's.
I always dream big, man. You have to. I mean, like, always dream big.
Everybody wants that, though. I think everybody deep down would love to get to a level where, like, Rachel Tallybard was on, and she's a Lee Filters Master of Light, and Peter Hurley is a Canon Explorer of Light. Yeah. So they're both different titles, but they're both ambassadors for a brand.
Yeah.
I think deep down, like, everybody wants to attain that level of, like, oh, cool, they get to work with that brand. There's kind of a recognition in photography when you do get that role. That big time. I think that's like you start to tag the company for that very reason. You want to be noticed, and then when you do get noticed, you want to build a relationship. It's not like, as we said at the start there with the paid partnership, if one of those media companies reaches out, they actually go through and they check like the analytics and the performance of people's accounts and how much reach they get versus like what they're willing to pay you. It is cheaper than the cost it would take to run like a paid promotion across all social media platforms. Do you know that all of these kind of metrics are taken into account, whereas the ambassador role is you get for small fry like us compared to Rachel and Peter. We're kind of, you're just doing marketing for a corporation for free in a sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, you see, kind of, I just, like, Darren Gary, he popped into my head there. I don't know if you follow her on Instagram.
What a woman.
Legend, Darren's
Darren, I know you're listening. Hope you're well.
She's the
and I love
legend.
your podcast as well. Like, I'm not going to promote any other podcasts.
The Laughs of Your Life.
Laughs of Your Life is fantastic. And if you ever want to get us all on, look, get your people to contact our people.
Yeah.
Connor Finnegan is his name. Just get in touch with him. And
he's the CEO.
You know, he's CEO. So look, we'll sort it out. But look, anyway, go on, Sean. Sorry.
But Darren, like, she often promotes different products, like, do you know what I mean? Like, she'll get sent products like from, I don't know, beauty companies, or it could be like a hair straightener. It's generally it's around that kind of orientation. Do you know what I mean? And she promotes them. She'll do a couple of stories. She'll test them out. She'll review them, and then she moves on. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of like.
Do you know who's great for doing? Because obviously, like, in the world that we live in, and the influencer world that we live in, Greg O'Shea, who's another Limerick man, so we like the Limerick lads around here. Greg is like the complete opposite of that. He'll just find something that he really likes, and he'll, speak about it on his page for the sake, or just from the pure fact that he likes this product. He's like, look, this isn't an ad. I just found this online and I love it. And like that's really refreshing as well. Yeah. Because, like, I'm not like dissing the Love Island people, but Greg obviously came from Love Island, and like the rest of the Love Island folk, let's say online, pretty much everything they post is paid sponsorship or sponsored ad, or any of that kind of stuff. Whereas Greg's just like, I found this online and I loved it, and I just thought I'd tell you all about it, and like tagging these like really small random companies that just had something that he really enjoyed. Yeah. That's lovely. I think that's quite refreshing in the world that we live in. But like this always, something that always comes to mind with me, like, for the two of you, would you like align yourselves with a company that you didn't necessarily know or like for free stuff? If that, like, would you like attach your name to something that was just like, oh, well, here, look, we'll give you this free stuff. If you don't like it, like, that doesn't matter, but speak about it highly.
No.
And get it for free.
No,
couldn't do
it.
So you have a moral compass then. That's good to know.
Like,
well, we recently had
go on, Ronan.
Sorry, Sean, I'm jumping on you there. Imagine I did jump on you, you'd be really hurt. We recently, like, we're always open and honest here. I think the three of us have the same moral compass that Kevin alluded to there. And we recently had emails from brands to the podcast page asking us to speak about their product on the podcast in return for payment towards our running fees, and we also get to keep the product for free. And the first thing that we replied, and I don't even think we had a conversation about it really, it was, can we have an honest and open and fair review if we were to go ahead with this offer? And the company actually replied and were like, yeah, like, you're not handed a script. Similar to when myself and Sean did the Huawei thing, you're given a topic to speak about and asked to create content around, like, the 50 megapixel camera or the full HD screen or something like that, but you're not given a script to read out. Like, it's up to you to speak about the product or whatever, Yeah,
100%.
So to have that moral compass, the moral compass, I 140 million% would not take a script and a product that is either brilliant or terrible and just promote it for the sake of a payday. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't. Like,
people shouldn't forget that, like, I gave up an Olympus roll just by switching to Nikon. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people might not, like, a lot of people probably wouldn't give that up. Like, but I did, because I basically done a cast. And by the way, like, I never got anything for free off of Olympus. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was a mentor. Like, I wasn't an ambassador. I was a mentor. So it's like a lower level. Yeah, if I bought gear, I would get a discount. I wouldn't pay full price on gear. They were great that way. Like some gear, I got like 50% like off. Like, but I done like a cost to needs analysis. Like, in Olympus cameras, even though they were very usable for me in the landscape or in scenarios, they're very much geared towards sports and wildlife, because they shoot very fast frame rates, and they're very much geared towards that genre. And you're paying basically, I was paying basically the same price for Olympus gear as I would be for a Nikon full frame gear. I'm kind of like, okay, well, landscape photography, what do I use? Everything I use is basically what the Nikon is about. What do I use? Landscape photography, and what is that in the Olympus sense? And it's like only ticking one box. So I'm kind of like, do you know? So I done a cost to needs analysis basically, and that's why I moved. And there was no issues. Like, do you know what? I just said to them, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's fine, that's no problem." And they said, "If you ever come back, let us know." Do you know? But
That's quite nice, isn't it?
oh yeah, but like that, my point is, like, you know, I gave that up because it wasn't suiting. Like, not that it wasn't suiting my photography, but I felt that I would gain more by switching to Nikon and going full frame.
And I think you have, in fairness. I think, like, judging by the results, like, that was a very measured but very good decision.
For Astro, anyway, definitely. For Astro, yeah, 100%. Like, do you know what I mean? 100%.
Yeah.
And the image quality is fantastic. Yeah, I'm delighted. But it's a funny one. It shouldn't be a solely your goal, even though I did make it my goal. But it shouldn't be. Like, I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction. Like, which is if you like, basically, if you
the
do
secret, so to speak, is it?
Yeah,
do you do the secret, Sean? Do you?
Huh?
Do you do the secret?
I was listening to the audiobook. It's so far fetched that I was just like, this can't be real.
I have people who swear by it. Like, my old boss, should I say, when I was working in a different company than I am now, she swore by the secret, and she is convinced that due to that book, she has basically kind of everything she has in life right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, like,
she's attractive.
She said she did the secret on it, and she has exactly what she wants in life now because of doing the secret.
Well, I mean,
because
like,
of the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that to do with your looks? Like,
yes, there is a law about how attractive you can be.
Like,
that's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, the law of attraction does work. Like, 100% works.
Well, sure, look, lads, I worked on me. I wanted to get this podcast going for months, and it finally happened. So, you know what I mean?
But yeah,
myself,
like, if you
and Keith Walsh set up this podcast, and you know it.
You zip it.
Keith Walsh?
Why was that you about this podcast?
No, it was myself, Sean, and Keith Walsh. It was the three of us, and then Keith had to go and be an adult.
Hold on a second.
Do stuff, so we got you in to replace him.
Hold on. What?
You were saying, Sean, sorry, go on.
It's a very awkward silence. Kev. Are you there, Kev?
He's gone.
Kev. Oh, Kevin.
The full story of the tripod formation has been told explicitly on another episode. I can't remember what episode, but Kevin got all of the praise in that episode, and he didn't throw a hissy fit like this. He knows I try and wind him up. I don't even try and wind him up. I just wind him up. It's just so easy, like.
There he is.
I'm back. Sorry, I had a moment.
That's okay.
I had a moment.
We
I
all
had a
have
little
moments.
cry. I had a cry.
We all have moments.
It's all good. And I love Keith Walsh, just for the record. So
coming back
it's
to
all
the
good.
kind of the question you asked there, Kev, an interesting one. Why do we tag the products that we use on Instagram?
So I'll tell you why I do. I like free stuff. Free stuff is fantastic. I'm not going to even lie. Free stuff is so much better than paying for stuff. And if it's stuff you're already using, like, that's why I look at it. Like, I mean, I use like Nikon, I've my Vanguard bag, I've my tripods, you know, like if it's stuff I'm already using and they want to give me more stuff, all over it. You know what I mean? Because obviously it's a company I trust and I believe and I like already. So like, yeah, absolutely. That is why I tag. I tag them so I can get noticed by them, start a relationship, and then ideally the end goal is get free shit.
Yeah.
Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah. 100%. I'd agree with you.
Do you think there's any people who, like, no one's gonna refuse free stuff if it's from a company you already, you know, like that you're using. If you're using their stuff, you're not gonna decline. You're not gonna say no to free stuff.
No.
Like,
there's no other reason you tag them. Like, do you know what I mean?
No.
Like
here's one that if let's say if Canon, because obviously 3 of us are Nikon shooters, if Canon came to either of you and said, right, we have, let's say not like a full ambassador role, but we have X role available. We like you as a photographer. We want you to use this for the next 6 months. You can have it for 6 months. Would you look at that? Like, would you take that on? Now, once again, I must stress the lads in Canon UK have been great to me. They gave me that printer as a prize for the competition through cons. So no issues with Canon there, by the way, lads. Thank you.
I absolutely would. If Canon approached me and said, here's our new whatever EOS R model that's coming out, we want you to do your thing for 4 months with this camera, and if we like what we see at the end of it, we'll give you a chance to work with us. Yeah, absolutely no problem. I'd do it.
And Roro?
Don't mind Canon. No, in a serious note, I would do a fair and honest review of one of their cameras if they asked me to. I wouldn't accept payment or the promise of a future role or anything like that. I'd be open to, especially with the podcast, like, to do a review. I probably would do a paid promotion campaign with them to test their product as well on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because, like, the other thing with the paid promotions is they take a lot of work, and the money that you get for it is it's very fair, if not slightly. Anyway, but
you won't be swimming in money after. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, you won't make your first million as a micro influencer as well. But
Speaking
Canon,
of, I hit 5k, lads. Am I a mid-tier influencer yet, or
low to mid-tier?
Yeah,
5K.
congratulations, Kev.
Thank you.
Well done, Kev.
Thank you very much.
I've actually, when doing some research for this podcast, there's certain websites you can use to track analytics and stats and stuff like that. And one of them, like, we've discussed Hype Auditor in the past.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it now. Let me check. There's a website that it tells you statistics, socialtracker.io. And on the socialtracker.io homepage, now there's a good few different ones as well, but this one I happened to click into earlier, and I thought it was quite funny because at the top it says top lists, and you go into Instagram and you can sort it by following. And Kevin, you are number 97 in the world for the amount of accounts you follow.
No,
with the number one person in the world, like on this site,
I can't be
follows
97 in the world.
7,743 people.
That all?
And if you scroll down, 7,743 is number one in the world. Now, this is accounts that are on this site that have previously been uploaded to this site, so there's probably more. But yeah, on the list, you're number 97, mate.
That's
So
phenomenal.
Congratulations on that. That's a great
So like,
achievement.
the lads are always amazed by the fact that I follow like 5,000 accounts. It's 5,000 and something. I got sucked in, lads. Like, I'm very, very nice. And
You're too
I
nice.
got-
You're like one of the soundest people you'll ever meet in your life. And I give you so much hassle. And I've literally
Yeah, but I
never
know
seen
it's all
you
in
say a
jest.
bad word about anyone. Like, I remember the time you said something to me that wasn't even remotely mean. And after we finished recording, you were like, sorry about that, Ro. It came out wrong
I
or
felt
something.
really
And
bad.
it wasn't even a proper dig. Like,
Yeah.
No, but so I got sucked in early on, like, and I just kind of like, as soon as I got really excited and like someone followed me, like, oh yay, friend, poof, follow back straight away, like, you know, no questions asked, no looking at it, was just like bang. And then it got to a stage where like I had like, let's say 1,000 followers, and I was following 5,000 people, and I was like, that's cool, like that's all right. But like, I wouldn't mind. It doesn't even matter because I only see about 7 people's stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's
So, like,
crazy, isn't it?
You know what I mean? Like, it's mad because I literally see, because I have notifications turned on for a lot of people because I want to see their stuff, but Instagram doesn't show it to me. So like, having 5,000 followers, it literally means nothing to me at the moment. Or no, following 5,000, should I say, because I don't see anyone's stuff.
If you click into your
ridiculous.
followers, Kev, do you know that it'll come up least interacted with? Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I could go into that and like maybe try, because like,
Should you not just call those people, like, you know?
I definitely should, because like I don't see. Like, I literally, I'd say
Give them the
you
chat.
could probably count, like, there's probably 15 people who I would see like organically, and then the rest would be only because I've had to turn on notifications to see them because I want to see their work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instagram's messed up, isn't it, in that respect?
Yeah, it is. 100%.
But then there's another 5,512 people who I just never see,
It's
or something like that.
whenever like I kind of scroll through my feed as well, like it's the same people I see. Luckily, the people that I see are the people I want to see. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, thank God, the majority of them are Irish photographers.
Yeah.
Like I unfollowed all the big hubs, like, because I don't want to see this stuff on my page. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going down a totally different rabbit hole here now.
We haven't we?
Yeah.
How do we
we're
get
gone-
back? Pull it back a bit. Pull it back. Where do we go?
Does the amount of followers you have dictate how good you are in a brand's term? Or in a, of course it does. Of course it does, because the brand is going to want exposure. They want their products seen, so they're not going to pick someone with 200 followers to do a paid promotion.
But on the flip side of that, you could have someone with like 30,000 followers, but they could be false followers.
Yeah. Well, that's
know,
where the
as in-
analytics comes in.
Yeah, as in
Like, they
people
check,
can
like-
people can pay for followers. We know this. We know it's a fact.
So like anyone who done, who else did James Baker done it? Didn't he run it? Who else done? I'm trying to think in terms of listeners.
The Huawei thing.
Neville done it. Couple of people, but they'll
Fred.
know. Fred.
Raw Dublin.
Fred
He-
did it, yeah.
Fred
Keith
done
did
it.
it as well. Dublin City Shots.
They'll know that like Vamp like ask for your username and you have to sign a consent saying that I'm okay with Vamp viewing my analytics. Like, so they look at your analytics, they look at
Oh,
the engagement.
really?
Yeah, they have to. Yeah,
Yeah,
before
okay.
deciding
That makes sense.
Before deciding whether to accept you into the campaign or not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
So, if someone has 30,000 bot
It probably
followers, then
would be good to break that down.
what's that, Ronan?
Sorry, I just like me and Sean are gonna have a fight after this episode.
Yeah.
Love it.
The on the subject of the analytics and all that, you're also scored on the performance of the content you post in a campaign. So it's not just like you hit the metrics you're in, post whatever you want. They also assess like the reach and the unique hits and all this on the content you post. So if you don't do your best work for the brand, there's something called an engagement rate on the content and the reach on the content. And if that's not up to scratch with what, say your account has 50,000 followers and your engagement rate is 1%, then the next time they're not going to approach you for another campaign because they've seen deep down that the analytics just aren't there.
Yeah.
An example of that, just from my own analytics, the trip I did around Ireland's Ancient East with Pokemon, the Tourism Ireland trip, the paid content that I posted for that had an engagement rate of 15.73%.
Holy God.
At the time, I had grown from, I'll tell you now,
I bet they absolutely loved you after that, did they?
I don't know, I'm not privy to that side of things, but I had 4,600 followers going into that campaign. And then obviously with Pokemon's reach, I grew to 4,500 just on that campaign alone. So the mean of that, call it 5,000, and it was 15.73% of the audience engaged with that. Versus my standard, by the way, I typically hover around 8 to 10% engagement rate on my account.
Yeah.
On the Huawei
Solid.
campaign, I hit 6.76% engagement rate. So that is lower than my natural
Average.
performance.
Yeah.
So, and part of that is because I'm a landscape photographer and I was posting pictures of phones and it says paid partnership, and some people are put off by that.
Yeah.
So to have it,
I am. I genuinely am. I am. So obviously for the listeners, like most of you will probably know, like I'm a salesman, like by trade almost, or like at heart, and I hate being sold to. So you know, you go into Google and the first two listings are pay per click or whatever. Never, like, it could literally say exactly what I want. I will not click that link.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, if I see something as a paid promotion, I won't click into it. Like it's just in me because I hate being sold to, because I'm a salesperson and I'm easily sold to. That's the thing. I know that if I click into that, I'm gonna get sucked in. So I'm like, I probably shouldn't, because I'll have to buy it then. But that's just me. I'm stubborn like that. Like so I
that's
know
how
for
you
a
got
fact.
your drone. We talked
Exactly,
about drones
like,
on the podcast.
Literally, we had an
next day you
episode,
went
and
out
then
and bought.
like I'm so easily sold to. Like even you go into a shop, and you know the way like shops will set out like stuff they want to shift in the queue section. So like if they want to shift something, they'll put it in the queue section as a special offer. Every time.
Yeah.
Every single time. I'm like, ooh, look at this. 2 for 1 on Smarties. Get in there.
But like, yeah, a lot of people are put off by it. Like, and even like, I received an awful lot of negativity when I done the Huawei campaign, like from people, and I was like, I'm sorry, but like, I've been given the opportunity to make a few bob here for taking photos and video, which I love doing, in the middle of a horrendous lockdown. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is our first lockdown. So I was like, I'm gonna take this opportunity by the horns and do it.
Yeah,
and
but Sean, I think
I was
think
very
a lot of
grateful
that
for that,
is hatred. I think a lot of not hatred. I think that's envy. Like,
But even just, yeah,
Because-
aside from that, like, not even just, I'm not even going to dwell on that, but like, I actually took some very nice images with that phone, and I like images I really enjoyed taking.
absolutely. But like, I would never diss or I'd never like look down on someone for doing one
Yeah.
of these things. Like,
No
never
way.
ever. I'm like, look, fair play to you. Absolutely, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That you get to select some time. You get to go out and like test this product,
Yeah.
doing something that you're already going to be doing anyway. And on the plus side, you get a few bob for it as well. I'm like, there's no downside to that at all.
Exactly.
And I
Yeah,
genuinely think
considering-
anyone who has issues with that, it's envy. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, considering like I had just had 70 odd weddings postpone or cancel on the spot when that campaign came around, I was very grateful of the opportunity. I was very grateful of the payday at the end of it. So
100%.
it's not just it's not greed or like selling to people for money. I got to go out and make content. It was also a reason to get out of the house at a very depressing time in my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we were
So-
still able to do it within, like, because at that time it was 5k we were restricted to, so
Yeah.
we still got to do it within that, like, do you know what I mean? I remember, like, it was the morning I took it out. I took it one morning. It was a foggy morning, and like the images that I shot, I really liked them. I really enjoyed taking them. Do you know what I mean? Like, those Huawei phones are fair cool. The ultra wide camera and stuff. But yeah, you should never diss someone for taking that opportunity. Do you know? And like, if someone ever does get the chance, like if you get an email from Vamp or anything, like, John, look into the campaign. Don't just don't like read into it. Like, do you know what I mean? Don't just jump on it straight away, but read into it and see how. Do you know, you might be like, yeah, this could be worth taking. Like, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, look, it's like, but also just stay true to yourself, you know, as a photographer and as a person, you know, like
don't sell yourself.
No, I mean, because it
body.
can be very easy. Like, if someone's dangling that delicious carrot in front of you, you know, it can be so easy to just go, yeah, look, whatever you need, I'll do it. But yeah, like, just kind of stay true to yourself, and you know, generally speaking, you'll know in your heart if it's for you, and that's it. But like, don't.
There is the flip side, though, isn't there, as well, where you pursue it and pursue it and pursue it, and then it's like,
can I just wee real quick?
Yeah.
No
problem.
So we can start out like Ronan, sound like, you know, there is the flip side. Just really into it.
I'm gonna go as well. So, Ronan, you hold the fort there.
I was mid making a point and just get assaulted with. Yeah. So on the flip side, like, there's also chasing a brand deal. Back in the day, you used to have sponsorships, and sponsorships were where an athlete or public figure would be paid to promote a product or use a certain brand of golf ball or tennis ball or tennis polo or something. Nowadays, that's kind of been replaced. So sponsorships were, I suppose they were kind of cool back in the day too, but they've been replaced now with paid promotions and the kind of influencer marketing side of things.
Yep.
So using the tools that the likes of Vamp and OMD use to look at your analytics, see what your reach is, etc. It's all marketing. And while it looks different because it's been presented through paid promotions on social media, nothing has changed. It's the same as an ad on the television. It's the same as an ad in the middle of a podcast. It's just another platform for ads to be presented on. The other side of it, then, you have ambassador roles. And I would liken ambassador roles to people wanting photographers to work for free. Because an ambassador role, you're basically pushing a product from a company that makes money, and quite often in return, your benefit is a discount code with said company or one free product a year or something like that. But the likes of getting your own personal ambassador discount code, you still have to give that company money to be an ambassador with them. And you're obviously going to use that discount code because you need to be seen to be using their equipment because you are an ambassador for them. So I think a lot of people, it is cool. Everyone does want to be affiliated with a brand. And anyone who says that they don't is probably lying, because I love Hennessy, Vanguard. I love their products. I love Nikon. If any of those companies came to me and wanted to work together, I've actually declined an ambassador role with Vanguard to set up a different. We have like a setup with my workshops, which aren't on my website anymore. But Vanguard actually, it's almost like my workshops are ambassadors for Vanguard, but I'm not.
That's cute.
Do you know what I mean? Because you get to see their products and how I use them on the workshop. So people who attend my workshops actually get first-hand experience of the product as well. So I'm not selling it to them, I'm showing it to them. So
that
it's
makes
not
sense.
In fairness,
it's a
if Hennessy are
win-win.
listening, like, they genuinely need to pull their finger out and get in touch with Ronan because yeah, like,
I only use their polarizer, in fairness. I've said it to James a good few times. It's like
James is a legend, isn't he? He's so lovely.
Yeah, but I'd be the worst because I don't have time for using filters or anything anymore. So I'd use your polarizer, so I couldn't exactly be like discount code, blah blah. All I use is a polarizer.
It
But,
was an Hennessy
yeah, no, the
filter that I
point-
had that fell into the Liffey, just in case you're listening, James, which I know you are.
You can sometimes get lost chasing an ambassador role, and I actually did. I used to tag Hennessy the whole time, trying to get in there, trying to make connections, trying to see if I could come on board in some way when I did use their filters. And at the end of the day, I was like, what am I doing? Like, I enjoy using their product. I naturally, by word of mouth, tell people about it. So why am I plastering it all over my stories? Like, there's no return. Any ambassador role or brand deal, or not sponsorship, but like, and not paid partnership. Yeah, so just ambassador roles and the likes. You really need to sit back and assess it and look at what you were doing and what you were giving away in return for what is essentially marketing. It's just another form of marketing.
Yeah. But I think you hit a really good point there. Like, if I really enjoy using a product, I'll tell people about it. Like, naturally you will, won't you? I mean, if it's something that, or especially I think people, the community we're involved in anyway, people will ask as well. So you're naturally going to be like, well, I use this and I really enjoy it. That's why I use it. So like, really, that kind of stuff should be redundant, shouldn't it? Like,
ambassador roles.
Are the companies really getting the most out of these things?
Again, I think
they are, because people are like you, Kev. Like, and if they see unbelievable photos, they'll ask, well, what camera was that taken with? And then they'll say, oh, well, I want one of those cameras because that camera takes unbelievable photographs. Like, people, like, I know that sounds stupid,
yeah, no,
but people think that way. Like, they think that linear. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you and me mightn't, but trust me, there's people.
A couple of years ago, if I saw this, if I saw a delicious long exposure like waterfall shot, and someone said, "Oh, it was a Hennessy 10-stop filter," I'd be like, "Oh sugar, I need to get one of them now."
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Like, that's absolutely yeah. Good point.
It's an interesting topic. Are we ready for my S-Bend? Because interesting, we were talking about smartphones with the Huawei campaign.
We have a Sean's S-Bend.
Yeah.
How exciting! It's the first one of the year.
It's something that came up in the Full Irish chat during the week. It was, how did it come about? Oh yeah, Mr. TJ Allen, the bandit from the north.
He's a good skin. I called him a good skin on one episode, and he was really confused by that statement.
Yeah.
He was like, "Did you say I have good skin?" I was like, "No, TJ, you are a good skin. That is a different thing."
It means your sound.
He's not.
It means your sound. He
TJ
said,
is not a good person.
He said the screenshot to Connor Finnegan, our CEO, and it was about a smartphone. And Samsung have released the Ultra Samsung Galaxy S21 models this week, right? And I'm focusing particularly on the Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G, okay?
This is a paid sponsorship by Samsung, are I'm only joking.
Unbelievable. It's a quad camera. So it has a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. It has a 108 megapixel wide angle. It has a 10 megapixel telephoto camera. And okay, there must be something wrong. The website,
a 3 times zoom camera and a 10 times periscope zoom camera.
Okay, because on the website it says the exact same thing. 10 megapixel telephone camera or telephoto is the third one, and the fourth one like the exact same thing. Oh no, it's not. You're right, Ronan. Yeah, one's a periscope. Anyway, it's got a lot of cameras, and it's got like when you look at that on paper, you're like, what? 108 megapixel, and then the boys were asking, will it replace? Like, will it like do away with the camera? Like, or do you know what I mean? Will people edge towards these as opposed to buying a camera? And like, I get asked, I'm going to start with this, right? I get asked an awful lot. If I had €1 for every time I got asked this question on my Instagram, I'd be a very wealthy man. I'm looking to start, or I'm looking to buy a good camera. Do you know what I mean? What should I buy? I'm like, do you have any camera? No, I don't want to own a proper camera. I'm like, okay. So I'll go onto their page. If their page is public, or if it's not, I'll just ask them. But if their page is public, I'll look at what they're shooting. And I'll ask them, like, what do you want the camera for? And like, oh, I just don't want to go on holidays. I just like taking a snap and just putting it on Instagram. And like, my next question is, what phone do you have? If they say anything from like the iPhone 8 or iPhone X even onwards, or Samsung S8, Samsung S9, whatever, Huawei P30 onwards, I'm like, you don't need to buy a camera. Save your money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's overkill. Like, if you just want to, like, the Instagram, if you just want to upload to Instagram, just quick snaps when you're on traveling around Ireland on holidays, take photos of your family, etc., your phone is absolutely perfect for that. Do you know what I mean? Like a big camera is just overkill. But do I think these phones... Okay, I'll ask you what you think. I see all these new specifications are coming out in phones, and like to the uneducated eye, they'd be like, wow, I can buy this for whatever, 800 or 900 euro. A camera and a lens would cost me over 1,000. Why would I do that when I can have this all in my phone? Go.
It's down to education, really, isn't it? Like back in the day, if I saw something with like 104 megapixel camera, my jaw would have hit the floor, and I'd be like, well, that's going to take the greatest photograph that I've ever seen, because I'm used to dealing with this 12 megapixel camera phone that has been really good, and this is 10 times better. So I'm going to be, a professional photographer with this phone.
Yeah.
That's what you think. You know what I mean? Because if you don't know that it's not just the megapixels that makes it, there's an awful lot involved, your brain is going to go, well, this is 10 times better. Like, absolutely, I'll just get this instead.
Yeah.
So it's about educating, but I think you really hit the nail on the head there, Sean. Like, depending on what you want to shoot, and what you want to do, that could suffice. Like, if you want to be a street photographer, right? If you want to be a street photographer, and this is not downplaying the skill and the timing and all of that kind of stuff that's involved in street photography, you might get away with that. You might do. Like, I just think it depends on what you want to shoot. But like,
it's needs dependent. Yeah, it's needs dependent.
100%.
Ronan,
Hello.
how's it going?
Hey, friend.
108 megapixels is more marketing. It's the
ridiculous,
same as
isn't it?
seeing a paid promotion. It's the same as seeing an ambassador post something up. It's the same as seeing
100%.
keeping your ideas on file in a filing cabinet. It's it's just a buzz. The other thing that phone does is 8K video, which, like, there is no such thing as an 8K monitor, as far as I'm aware. Computers would go on fire processing it unless it's the top spec computer. 8K is just another buzz. Like, the Canon cameras have fit 8K in now. All of the more recent arrivals that are due out this year, as a result of Canon putting in 8K, are now also going to have to facilitate an 8K resolution. They get bigger and bigger and bigger, when in actual fact, like, the Huawei phone, I think, has a 50 megapixel main camera, but in the phone itself, you actually have to go into high res mode to use all of those 50 megapixels. Other than that, it's shooting 16 megapixel. So like, I would assume the Samsung is the same, because you might have 108 megapixels, but like, the sensor is this big.
Yeah.
So
there you go. He's already ahead of me. Yeah. I was going to squash this whole debate with a bit of nerdy numbers here right now, and Ronan has already alluded to it. Okay, so if you go onto someone's page and you see an unbelievable landscape photo taken with a Nikon Z6 whatever, and you're like, wow, I have a Samsung S21 5G Ultra, I'm going to take the same photograph, right? Sorry, you're wrong. One key, this is what I was Googling for, one key piece of statistic here is the pixel size, okay? And pixel size is, see, I feel like I'm Ronan here now, like, do you know what I mean?
I'm loving this. This is
pixel size is measured in micrometers. It's a really odd symbol. It's like a U with a line down the side of it, but it's UM.
It's a U with a tail.
U with a tail, yeah, but it's micrometers, okay? The pixel size on the 108 megapixel wide angle camera is 0.8 micrometers, okay? On the 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, which is kind of your ultra wide one, is 120 degrees field of view, it's 1.4 micrometers, okay? So 1.4 micrometers and 0.8 micrometers, okay? Remember those numbers. The Z6, the pixel size on the Z6, from what I can see here, is upwards in 35 micrometers.
That's a big difference from 0.8.
So
that's a lot more information in one pixel.
Yeah,
like,
there you go. Like,
because it's taking up more space.
It's taking up more light. Yeah, so like the larger the pixel is in the camera, the more light it can take in. the more sensitive it is to light, the lower your ISO has to be, etc., etc., etc. And that's the first thing I said to the lads on the in the full Irish. I was like, if you shot one of those phones at like ISO probably 400, the photo could well be unusable. Like, I don't know, I maybe a bit higher.
It would explode.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so the modern day mirrorless camera and DSLR still has its place.
I have a counter argument though.
Oh,
or
of course
a counterpoint.
Go for it.
Go on, son. Go on.
We're talking about these sizes in terms of mirrorless sensors and the phone sensor. But for a large majority of photographers, even a large amount of the work we do, it ends up on social media. And it all gets brought down to 2048 on the long edge, 72 pixels per inch. Had to get that reference in. But it's all squished down and compressed by algorithms. It's on screens, it's not printed. So, with these phones, I would argue that for social media purposes, you can get a shot that is just as acceptable as a mirrorless camera or DSLR. And the other benefit is you don't have to really process it, because these phones now can shoot RAW, but when you activate the manual mode to shoot RAW, you disable the AI or the automatic adjustments or profile corrections that the smartphone makes itself. With the Huawei phones, the AI in their cameras is fantastic. If you just shoot a photograph, it identifies whether you're shooting a landscape, a sunset, a sunrise, macro, close-up, whatever. It's really, really good. And it will automatically apply some processing to the JPEG that comes out of the camera, and it's flawless. If you set up the exact same scene, exact same phone, and go into manual mode, you're getting a RAW file, and quite often it'll come out, the white balance is off, it's really noisy, the pixels aren't sharp in the least, the shadows have very little detail, if any, and if you try and recover that in Lightroom, you won't be able to recover it as well or as efficiently as the phone's AI did with the shot coming out of the phone.
Really?
So I would imagine with the S21, you will get a shot that is just as good as a RAW file you would process yourself coming out of a mirrorless or digital camera. Mic drop. Boom.
Well, there you have it, folks. Go buy the Galaxy S21. This has been sponsored by Samsung Ireland.
I would tend to agree in the sense that I've often taken out my iPhone 11 and taken a photograph, and I've actually been, like the way it can pull the dynamic range is insane, like, because it's
mad, isn't it?
It's a built-in HDR, but it doesn't look HDR.
Yes, yes, and it actually even says HDR in the top corner.
Yeah,
it's like,
but it doesn't look that garish HDR look, and it looks quite well. Interesting, but the RAW files wouldn't have. If you shot RAW, I wonder would they have the same. They wouldn't have the same flexibility or data, because there isn't the same amount of data in them as there is in a full frame sensor.
Yeah, you couldn't push one of those photos the way you can, a RAW file from a DSLR or mirrorless camera, the way, in Lightroom or let's say our Photoshop.
I'm just looking at the specs here.
It would crumble.
I'm just looking at the specs here again, lads. That was the square micron. So the actual pixel size or pixel pitch, they have it on as Nikon. It's between 7 and 8 microns. So you're looking at roughly 7 times larger pixel size from a camera as opposed to a smartphone. Does that matter to the person just uploading to Instagram? Ronan says with new built-in AI and stuff, possibly not.
I would say it doesn't. And if you're shooting for print and you're actually serious about photography, go for a DSLR or mirrorless. If you're just starting out in photography, I think there's a bit of a worry now, similar to like our concerns about Luminar AI. You could start out with just a phone. You could take really lovely photos. The phone can do kind of all the processing and the work for you. When you then switch to, say you buy a Fuji for example. You've got interchangeable lenses for the first time. You've got M, A, S, and P modes. You've got auto modes on the dial on the camera. You start out shooting JPEG because you don't know what RAW is, like most photographers would. The Fuji JPEGs are savage. They're really nice with the bit of processing that comes out of the Fuji's image processor. Then you've gone from your phone to your Fuji shooting JPEG. You learn a bit more. You're watching YouTube video and you go to RAW. But you start shooting RAW and you've no experience of actually processing a photograph yourself.
Yeah.
That's when you get into trouble.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I think there's
absolutely.
with these phones and cameras and JPEGs and that being so good, I think the actual art of processing will get lost along the way. So only the super serious photographers will actually continue to shoot RAW and learn how to process.
You know, the other fear I would have as well is you're not future-proofing yourself with this.
No.
So, like, you know, you could start out by just saying, I just like taking a few snaps. I'm never going to want to sell prints. I'm never going to want to do this and that. But as we all know, like, photography is quite addictive. Like, you get the bug fairly quickly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, you start off just taking a few snaps like we all did, and then all of a sudden, you know, you buy a camera and then you buy another one and a lens. But like, if you go out and say, okay, I won't spend 800 quid on, you know, on a DSLR, I'll buy a, you know, an 1,100 euro phone instead, let's say prepay or whatever. You're not future proofing yourself there. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because if you do end up getting, you know, the bug, which is very easy to acquire, my friends.
Yeah.
If you get that, not only will you have your 1,100 euro phone, you will soon go out and buy a camera. Like, it's a fact. You will, because it's just going to happen.
I want to give a shout out to a photographer, and that's why, apologies lads, I was on my phone there. I was looking at
Is it me? Is it me, Sean?
No. It's a photographer, Billy is his name, and it's just down. Billy hasn't got a second name. Ireland is his second name, apparently. It's Billy Ireland is what he has. That is Instagram.
That's quite ironic.
Yeah, and his username is
Halley WD, is it?
Yeah, Halley WD Photography. And Billy shoots exclusively on his Huawei phone.
Yeah.
And he's a very, very good photographer, an excellent photographer, and really nice images, like really like very, very nice, pleasing shots. And he shoots them, and I assume processes them on probably Snapseed or something like that. But like a couple of his images, like he has like a bit of art and glow, etc. You know, they're nice photographs. Like he's got a lovely macro shot here I'm looking at, and he's shooting exclusively on a smartphone.
Go on, the Billy.
That's another that links into our point earlier. Billy was shooting Huawei back on the P20s, I think.
20, yeah.
When I was asked to do that original campaign for the P20 Lite, he started shooting and posting with Huawei, and then Huawei reached out and contacted him, and he was on the P40 campaign now. So that's an example of how, like, if you use a brand and you grow a love and a graph for a brand organically, that the brand will then reach out to you. That's a good example of that.
That's cute. Good
Just
plan.
a side point
fair,
there.
Fair
Sorry.
play to you.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's excellent. Really, really good photographer. So, yeah, it can be done. Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, I suppose just to wrap up the S-Bend, Sean, I mean, like, mobile photography has massively taken off in the last couple of years. There's no doubt about that. Like, the quality of images that you can get compared to even 3 or 4 years ago is ridiculous. And I'd say even for hobbyists, it would be sufficient, you know. But
I agree.
For people listening, if you think down the line this may turn into, you know, maybe not a career, but maybe a side hustle, I'd look at future-proofing yourself and maybe not getting the phone for the camera.
Yeah.
You know, and get a camera.
You start taking pictures on your phone, obviously, and see.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I actually really enjoy taking photos here, and maybe it's time to start thinking about something more serious. Do you know what I mean? That's how you make that transition. But yeah, that's a good point. I don't pick the phone over the camera if you've already tried a phone for photography. That makes sense.
Because yeah, like, just, you know, Oh yes, go Ronan.
I've just been jumping on everyone in this episode. My back.
That's allowed.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. Oh yeah,
jeez.
there's also the fact that there's new smartphones released every year. So your phone will
Every
quickly
Tuesday,
become-
by the sounds of things as well at this stage.
Yeah, but your phone, like the phones are good. They're great to have in your pocket. They are fun to shoot with, but it quickly becomes redundant because the next bigger and best thing comes out. That's another key point to remember. Whereas when you get a camera, good lens will last a lifetime, and a good camera body will last you a good few years. So the investment, like how much is the S21? 1200, I think. Versus you'd pick up a Z50 and a lens for that.
Yeah.
Thereabouts. And that's your gateway into it then. So to work it out
100%.
that way as well.
Great point. Good point to
That
finish
is a
on.
great point. I think that's a great point to finish on.
Yeah, that was my S-bend, so
Sean, that was a great S-bend. And lads, that was a great episode. Thank you very much, as always, for being here.
problem.
And
Thank you.
listeners, I really, really hope you enjoyed that chat. We covered influencers, we covered paid promotions, the whole shebang. I think Ronan has a point. Do you have a
I
point?
have one thing. I have one thing to finish on.
Oh yeah, go on.
That is vitally important.
Yes.
Everyone who listens to this podcast, you are now officially ambassadors for the Tripod Photography Podcast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is a
So
fact.
if you were chasing an ambassador role, you are now officially an ambassador for the Tripod. We don't
Put
have
it in your
contracts or
bio.
anything like that. Put it in your bio. If you're not a fan of ambassador roles, tough, you're stuck with it. You're now an ambassador for the Tripod.
That is a great shout, Ronan. So yeah, we want to see you put it in your bio, you screenshot your bio, post it to your story, and tell everyone that you are now an ambassador of the Tripod cast.
Yeah, put up hashtag Tripod Ambassador in your stories, in your bio,
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes,
Just
Ronan.
pollute the socials.
Yes. And on that note, lads, look, thank you all for listening. If you have enjoyed the podcast, we will always say this once again, but not push it on you. We're not blind boy here. The Patreon is there if you do want to, have a look at it. Patreon.com/the Tripodcast. Is that right, Ronan?
Bear with me.
Is that close? Is that almost right?
Hang on there.
/the Tripod.
/the Tripod. Yeah, look, the price of a pint or a cup of coffee once a month, as Blind Boy would say. And look, it's been a pleasure as always. We love recording these, and we love that you enjoy listening to it. So, from myself and the rest of the lads, we hope you have a lovely week, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Tripod.
If you'd like to support us, please visit our Patreon.
And don't forget, folks, we do have all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and you can join us in our deadly Facebook community group as well.
And please leave a review. Reviews help, so leave a review. Yurt.